Welcome to day 7 training session. Today we are having two events. One is morning we are having a regular event is there, and next event is introduction to Tableau CRM. That is at 4 o'clock we are having that event. So first we join those events, and today we are having some extra gifts are there. And by today, by 12 o'clock, who and all is in the top, they will be giving a surprise gift. And after coding thing, then we have a break. After the break, we'll be having a sponsor time will be there from Saturn Technology. They are giving certificate voucher for the hashtag winner, and proceed with the second session of after coding will be there. Finally, we have a Q&A session will be there. Okay. And today's speaker is Aditya. He's having a good experience in Salesforce, having completed 10 certification, and he's very good in Apex configuration and integrations also. So over to you, Aditya.
Okay, thank you, Anand. Thanks for the quick introduction. Good morning, everyone. Hi to all the fellow Trailblazers. Welcome to the coding session on Apex. I feel that it will be quite insightful for you people, and wishing you nothing but the best for the future of Salesforce. Okay, so speaking about myself, I have been working on the Salesforce ecosystem, for around 7 years and a quarter, and I have completed almost 11 certifications on this. I also do blogging. I mentioned my blog site here. Maybe if you get some time, you can go and pay a visit over there. And I'm also into trailblazing, and I'm also into LinkedIn. So we can connect over if you need any information related to Salesforce. So without any further ado, so today's session is about SOQL and SOSL. Let's get into this specific topic, and I'll also take a pause in between the slides, and maybe I can try to answer your questions as much as we can. And at the end, we also have one specific slide which is pertaining only to the questions, and then we can go through them as well. Okay, let's get started now. So what is SOQL and why is it for, when should we go for SOQL? So when we speak about SOQL, let's try to elaborate this, or let's try to abbreviate this and understand. When SOQL is elaborated, it will become Salesforce Object Query Language. This itself will pretty much give us some information stating that we are trying to speak about an object that is present inside Salesforce ecosystem. By now, we must be pretty much aware of the fact that we deal with objects, fields, and records. That's how Salesforce works. At the end of the day, whatever we do in Salesforce, be it creation of workflow, be it creation of a process builder, be it implementation of some functionality, at the end of the day, the end result would be speaking about a record. What kind of value should be present on a specific field in a specific record? What kind of access should be given to a user? What kind of relationship should two objects be holding? What kind of data type should a field be holding? So when drilled down, it is just about a record. So if at all you want to really speak about a record, you want to identify a specific record, you want to fetch a record, then the language that you have to make use of is SOQL. SOQL is what most of the people call it as, but when it is elaborated, it will become Salesforce Object Query Language. So by now you should be able to understand that we are trying to query for a specific record belonging to an object that is present inside Salesforce. So that is what SOQL means. So SOQL is the official query language that is given by the Salesforce in order to fetch records that is present inside an object residing inside Salesforce. If you see, we do not have this as objects, it is object, which is singular, which means we will be able to query results or records only from a single object. But again, I will tell you, I will change my sentence. But for now, let us try to be under an assumption that we can write some queries, and those queries will be helping us in order to fetch records from an object that is residing inside Salesforce. So that is nothing but SOQL. If you belong to programming background where you have worked on databases like Oracle, then you must be quite familiar with the way how querying actually works. This is almost similar to the way how SQL works, the basic syntax and the way to fetch the records. It is almost similar to SQL, but there are few minor modifications that are made in order to keep it compatible with the way how Salesforce is actually behaving. So this is pretty much about SOQL. If I have to define SOQL in a single statement, I will define it in a way such that SOQL is the query language used inside Salesforce in order to retrieve records from a S object. When I say S object, what does it actually mean? S object is nothing but Salesforce object, which means it could be either a standard object that came as part of the native functionality of Salesforce, or it could be a custom object that was created by the user in order to meet his own requirement. So SOQL will help us to fetch records either from a standard object or from a custom object. As a generic term, we make use of something called as S object. So if at all in the future you come across this word called S object, you need to understand that S object is nothing but Salesforce object, because most of the people out there tend to confuse that S object is nothing but standard object. That is completely incorrect. S object means it is Salesforce object. It could be either standard or custom, and SOQL is speaking about S object. It could be about standard or custom. Then, okay, we understood the definition of SOQL. Now let us try to understand the structure. What is the syntax of SOQL and what are the prerequisites that are to be followed while writing a SOQL query? The syntax is pretty basic and very simple. There are only two keywords for us. You just have to write a SOQL query by making use of these two keywords. If you understand significance of these two keywords, yes.
It's just somewhat is echoing.
My voice is echoing.
Yes, somewhat. In chat, many of them are telling.
Any better now? Is it better now? Or is it still echoing?
Somewhat. Still light going only. Okay, no, we can proceed.
Okay, fine then. Thank you. Okay, so let us speak about the basic structure of SOQL. As I said, in order to write a SOQL query, you just need only two keywords. These are the two prerequisite keywords that are to be present for a SOQL to be complete. So those two keywords are nothing but select and then from. Okay, what is the significance of select and what is the significance of from, or why is these keywords for? When your SOQL query should always start with select. If you do not have select as your first keyword in your SOQL query, then that SOQL query is completely incorrect. Your SOQL query should be started with this keyword called select. The moment you write the select keyword, immediately what you should write is you need to write the fields that you're actually trying to retrieve. So select and then fields, whatever fields you wanted to fetch. Then the immediate keyword should be from, and then you will be specifying the object name. So this is the basic syntax or the structure that we have to follow in order to write a SOQL query. I'm just repeating it again. Select is the first keyword, and after this keyword you should be writing the field names, whatever fields you wanted to query on a specific object, because one object can hold 30 fields and another object can hold only 5 fields. Now if you do not want all the 30 fields to be fetched while retrieving the data, you want only 3 or 4 fields to be fetched, then you can specify only those fields after the select keyword, then provide the keyword called from, then the object name, and this object will be either the standard object or the custom object. And if you write this, then the SOQL query is set to be complete. Now only API names are supported in SOQL and not the labels. You must also be familiar that whenever you try to create an object or whenever you try to create a field, there will be an option for you to specify the field label or the object label. Object label is something which you will be giving, and based on the object label you try to give, the API name will be prepared dynamically by the Salesforce. It will try to replace spaces with underscore, and also once the creation is done, it will try to append a double underscore C at the end. So whenever you see double underscore C at the end, it is so clear that it is evident that it is something custom created by the user. Now, when you are writing a SOQL query, you cannot make use of labels. You should always make use of API names only. Reason being, API names will always be unique. But whereas when we speak about labels, there can be 2 custom fields on an object with same label, because you are creating those fields for your own purpose. There is a chance. There is no such restriction that no 2 fields should have same label. There is no such restriction. As there is no such restriction that you can create 2 fields of same label, now when you write a field label over here, system will be in a dilemma state. System will be in a confusion state to understand which field to be taken into consideration. So due to which, in order to maintain uniqueness, we have a prerequisite stating that only API names are supported in SOQL and not the labels. So this is pretty much about the SOQL. Now let us try to go through some examples. So for writing a SOQL query, let me do one thing. Yes, I have a work created for myself. I will make use of this. I don't know why this Zoom bar is actually stopping me. Okay, I found it. Okay, so I'm logged into my Salesforce dev work. I have just created this for the demo purpose. Now, where will we be writing the SOQL queries? Ideally, you will be writing your SOQL queries in your Apex code. But as we are not that familiar with Apex, what we will do is we will just try to find a place where you can write a SOQL query and see the results. So we will just try to identify such place. One such place where you can write just the SOQL query in order to see output is developer console. So how can we open developer console? If you are in classic experience, just click on the username that will be coming up to you. Click on this and you can see an option called developer console. But whereas if you are in lightning experience, the way to navigate into developer console is there will be a gear icon to you which will be appearing on the top right side. The moment you click on this gear icon, multiple options will be appearing to you, and one option is developer console. So I'm clicking on the gear icon, and if you see, there is an option for me by name developer console. If I click on developer console, it will take me to a place. What is developer console? This is a one-stop place for all the developers. If you want to write a page or a class or a component or a trigger, everything can be done in this single page itself. So this is like a place where you can do anything and everything that is pertaining to Apex. So this is one such place. And in this developer console, I'm not going too deep about all the options that we have in developer console, as today's session is pretty much about SOQL. I want to focus on much on that. So in order to write a SOQL query in developer console, the place that is available for you is, if you come to the bottom section, you can see something called as query editor. I'm removing it for now. You can see something called as query editor. And here you will be writing a SOQL query, and once you write your SOQL query, you need to click on the execute button. And if you click on the execute button, based on the SOQL query written by you over here, corresponding results will be shown to you in the top section. So I'm telling you the path again. Click on the gear icon, and then you have something called as developer console. In the developer console, come to the bottom section, you can see something called as query editor. Place your queries over here. Based on the query you write, and you need to click on the execute. Once you click on the execute, based on the query you write, corresponding records will be shown to you. So this is the place, and this is how you need to navigate to this specific place. Let us just try to write a very basic SOQL query with the syntax we understood. So let me close this. Let me come over here. So I have an example, to make it easy. So what we will try to do is, we will just try to fetch the ID, name, billing city from all the accounts. Okay, this is the example for us. Now we understood that if at all we have to write a SOQL query, the first keyword that you should make use of is select. Okay, fine. And then what do we want to do here? We wanted to fetch ID, name, and billing city. If you have a single field, just write only that field. But whereas if you want multiple fields to be fetched, then you need to write those multiple fields separated by a comma. As per the requirement we have over here, we wanted to fetch 3 fields which are multiple, and so we are separating them by making use of a comma. Select ID comma, name comma, and then billing city. Now let's again understand the syntax. So we have covered the first part. Yes, we made use of the keyword called select. That is the first keyword that we have to write in order to complete a SOQL query. And then we mentioned all the elements, and we are ensuring that we are providing only the API names but not the labels. Yes, we are sure on that. And then the third keyword will be from. Okay. After from, what should we write? We will be writing the object name from which we are trying to query the record by making use of this field. So the example that we have here, we are trying to fetch records from this object called account. So what we will do is account, and then I will be clicking on the execute button. Now if you see here, it is showing me that there are total rows 27 with the
your voice is breaking somewhat. It's not clear. It's lagging.
Since how long is it breaking?
Just 1 minute. Last 1 minute.
Is it so? I don't know why, because my network is also pretty much clear. Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell here is, I had made use of the select keyword, and then the field names that I wanted to query, then the from keyword, and then the object name. I am making sure that I am not making use of the labels here. I am making use of the API names for all these in order for the system to understand the fields that are to be fetched. So select ID, name, billing city from account, and then I click on the execute button. Now what did happen? It rendered the records based on the SOQL query that I have written. I can see these records coming over here. It is also showing me the count of rows that are fetched as part of the SOQL query that was written over here. And if you see, it is showing me the records in the same order of the fields that I have mentioned over here. I have written ID as my first column. Yes, ID came as the first column, and then name, and then billing city. That is how it came. And yes, I'm able to see the results. Now let us try to take one more example to understand it in a better way. I have created a custom object in my org. I'll open that. Okay, I have object manager here. I have created a custom object by name engagement. So I will just show you the fields that I have over here. If you see, these are the fields that I have on this custom object by name engagement. Now, as per this example, we wanted to fetch ID, name, and then one reason. There is a field called one reason. So what I will do, yes, I know that I have to make use of API names only. I have ID, I have name, and there is a field called one reason. So for this one reason, I'm copying this one underscore reason double underscore C, and I'm pasting it over here. And then I'm trying to do it from the engagement object. Again, engagement object is something which is custom. So let me copy the API name again. If you see, API name is engagement double underscore C. Let me copy this and let me put it over here. So what did I do? I just did the same example. I just followed the same approach. But the only thing that I did was this time I'm using a custom object with some custom fields. But earlier I had made use of all the standard object and standard fields. So let me click on execute button. And if you see that there are currently only one record, there is currently only one record in my system for this specific object, due to which only one row came up. And as you see, I am querying for ID, name, and one reason, and so which these three columns came up. If I want to add one more field, what I will be doing is I'm putting a comma over here, and then I have a field called opportunity. Let me copy this and let me put it over here, and then I will click on execute. If you see, I got, this row got refreshed. Yes.
His voice is breaking.
Is it still breaking?
Now it's okay.
No.
But, while we are speaking, the time the voices get breaking and it's going very low.
I'm quite surprised for this. Okay. I even unplugged my headphones. I'm very close to the speaker.
Okay.
Okay. So before I go for the next slide, any questions on how to write a basic SOQL query?
Can I unmute? Allow them to unmute?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. It's possible.
I lost you. What did you say?
Can you take some complex example?
Sure. We will. I mean, this is just about the basic syntax of SOQL query. So we will go. We have many examples.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Hi Aditya, I have one doubt.
Yes, please.
Yeah, is there? I have heard that there is no syntax for to get all the fields at a time in the SOQL. So is it true or?
It was true. It is. It cannot be considered that it is true anymore, because as you know that Salesforce comes up with updates thrice a year. We have releases for them, right? So as part of those releases, as part of the recent release, I believe it was Spring 22, I think so, Salesforce gave us a flexibility where you can query for all the fields in a single SOQL query without having to mention all the field names. It was true, but no longer.
Okay. So is there any syntax for that? Can you write syntax for
that? We will cover that in the coming session. Coming slides.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi Aditya, I had one doubt.
But yeah, I'm
Hello.
sorry, your voice is breaking up.
Hello.
Yes, yes, you're clear now.
You said like you need to mention that the API name.
Correct.
That means from API name you are getting this data ID name and remaining things.
Okay, let me take a
Am I
step
correct?
back and no. Let me take a step back for this. If you look into the basic syntax of SOQL query, what we are actually trying to do is we are trying to query for records on a specific object. When you say record is nothing but a row in a table, and in that row there can be n number of fields based on the fields that you create on the object. While specifying that you wanted to query for a specific record, do you want all the fields or do you want only some specific fields? If you want only some specific fields, you have to mention those fields. While mentioning those fields, what you have to do is you have to specify API names of those fields, and the same applies for the object name as well. Did that answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect.
So I have one question. Sir, as you mentioned that in a query field, like I have seen that we have to mention that here is a custom field. So you have mentioned there a C underscore C. Okay. So I have seen that so many examples where they have mentions underscore R. So may I know what is the meaning of that? That in which condition we have to put R and in which condition we have to put C. So I'm a little bit confused when I'm just executing all the codes.
So always remember that double underscore C or double underscore R are clearly telling that it is not something which was given by Salesforce but was created by the user. When you see double underscore C or double underscore R, you need to rely on it that it is something which is custom. And speaking about when should you go for C and when should you go for R indicates relationship. When you are trying to query for something which is on the related object, then you will be using double underscore R. You will understand it in with better examples, and I have it in the coming slides. But double underscore R indicates relationship.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, Purna here. So Aditya, is there any limit in the query results?
Yes, we do have. That will be covered. Let's confine questions only to the basic syntax. Maybe I will be taking a pause for every 5 slides, but let's confine questions only to the basic syntax.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay, I will again come back on the question section, but for now I'm going for the next slide. Now, yes, by making use of this, we are able to fetch records from a specific object, and we are also able to understand how to make use of the select keyword and also the from keyword. By making use of this, we are querying records on a specific object, and we are also specifying the fields. Now, there is a requirement, or what if you wanted to fetch records from a specific object, but you do not want to fetch all the records, you wanted to fetch records that are meeting a specific criteria. You want to fetch records by adding a filter. If that is the case, then what we should do is there is a specific keyword in order to make the user to provide filter, and that keyword is nothing but where. If at all you make use of this where keyword, then system understands that okay, user is not trying to fetch all the records, user is trying to fetch only some records that are actually meeting a specific criteria. If you see here with the query, whatever we have written earlier, we are querying for all the records. Now let's not do that. What we'll be doing is, rather than querying for all the records, let's query only for some specific records that are meeting a criteria, that are meeting some specific criteria. And in order to mention that, the keyword that we have in SOQL is where. So where is the keyword that we will be using in order to filter records. After where, what should we be doing means we will be specifying the criteria, and for specifying the criteria there is a syntax, and we will understand that syntax now. Okay, Before we go into the syntax, let's understand that what kind of conditions or what kind of criteria can be specified after this where keyword means you can make use of arithmetic operators in order to specify your criteria. Let's say you wanted to query some records for which the close date, let's say you wanted to query for all the opportunities for which the close date is greater than 21st August 1993. You wanted to query for accounts for which the billing city is Dallas. You wanted to query for the contracts for which the amount value is greater than some XXY. So if you want to do that, yes, it is supported because you will be making use of arithmetic operators. By making use of these arithmetic operators, you can specify some criteria, and by using the where clause and also by mentioning the concrete criteria, if there is any record that is satisfying the criteria that you mentioned, that will be coming as part of the SOQL query that you will be writing. And then along with the arithmetic operators, SOQL is also giving us a provision to make use of logical operators, which means it's not a single condition for you, you have multiple conditions, and based on the outcome of multiple conditions, you want to determine what kind of records are to be fetched. In that case also, yes, we have logical operator support in SOQL, and we will understand about in and like in the coming sessions. But for now, let us try to see some examples to understand the usage of arithmetic operators in combination of logical operators inside where class. Then let's come to the examples, and then I'll come back to the next slide, so it will be easy. So first, let us try to see the example. Get all the accounts for which number of employees are greater than 500. So what I will do first is I will come to this object manager, open this object, I go to this fields and relationships, and I see that there is a field by name number of I see that there is a field by label employees, but the field name is number of employees. And by now we are quite familiar that we should not make use of labels. We should always make use of the API name or the field name, which is nothing but number of employees here. Now let's look into the example. Get all the accounts for which number of employees are greater than 500. As we understood that we have to specify the field names, I am not mentioning what fields are to be fetched here. What we will do is we will try to fetch just ID and the name. That's it. We will just try to fetch ID and the name from account. What is the requirement now? The requirement is stating that number of employees are greater than 500. So I have the where condition now because we want to do some filter. Yes, I have to make use of the where keyword here, the where clause here. The criteria is number of employees are greater than 500. So first let's copy the API name of number of employees and put it over here. They're telling that greater than 500. So let's come back to the slide and let us see. Is greater than allowed? Yes, greater than is allowed because greater than is an arithmetic operator. And as arithmetic operators are supported in SOQL query, we will be able to achieve this. So what I will do is where number of employees greater than 500, and I will click on execute. If you see earlier when I tried to query for records, okay, let me remove this. Okay, when I try to query for select ID comma name from account, I see that there are only 27 records. There are 27 records in my organization. But when I try to add a filter over here, if you see, when I try to add a filter over here, I am getting only 9 records. Now, what I will do is, in order to relate to or in order to understand it completely, I will also query for this field called number of employees. If you see, there are many records for which number of employee field is holding a blank value. There are 27 records, and out of 27, only few records are having value populated on this specific field, number of employees. So where number of employees greater than 500. So when I do this, I see that there are 9 records. Now let us understand one point here. When you are trying to add filter on a specific field, should that field be queried or not? It is not needed. Even though if you do not have number of employees, a SOQL query will not throw you any error. So the thing that we have to remember here is you can specify a filter on a specific field, though it is not part of your SOQL query. Though you're not trying to query for a specific field, that field can be used in your filter in order to drill down the results. So this is pretty basic example in order to understand. the usage of where clause. Now let's go through some advanced examples. Then get all the opportunities that are closed today. Okay. So that are closed today means we have a field called closed date on the opportunity. There is a field by name closed date on opportunity, and this requirement is telling that we have to get all the opportunities for which the closed date is today's, which is 26th of February. So let us try to do that now. Select ID comma closed date from opportunity. Till here it is clear. And what we'll do is just we know that we have to make use of a where clause, and then we have something called as closed date. Okay, this is also fine. Now, what is the syntax that we have to follow here? We understood that we have to make use of the where clause, and we also understood that we have to write the field name here with the value. By making use of arithmetic operator, we are trying to do the equal comparison. But what is the syntax? Is this YYYY slash MM slash DD, or is it YY slash mm slash dd, or is it dd hyphen mm slash yy? So there is quite a bit of confusion over there. So let us try to understand the syntax that has to be followed, or the format that has to be provided while making use of the where clause. So let me come back to this specific slide now. If you see here, whenever you are trying to apply your filter on a date field, this is the format that you have to make use of. No other formats are allowed. Even though this is not the format that you see on a specific record when you open it, but this is the only format that is supported inside a where clause while writing a SOQL query. Now, what is the requirement here? We wanted to query for opportunities that are closed today. So today's date is 26th February and the year is 2022. Now, what I will do is, first I have to specify the year. I have to specify 4 dates of my year. So where close date is equal to 2022 hyphen month, which is 02, and then date, which is 26. This is the only format that is supported while writing a SOQL query. You are not allowed to have slashes, or you are not allowed to change this format. If you give any other format, SOQL will not give you results. So I'm clicking on execute. It is showing you that there are 0 rows, because none of the opportunities that I have in my system are having today's date as the close date. Now what I will do is, I will try to put slashes here, and I will try to click on execute. Now, if you see here, system is unable to understand the format, due to which it is throwing me an error stating that it is unable to parse it, unknown error parsing query. So always remember that you have to abide by the formats that SOQL is supporting in order to generate results. So I'm giving 2206, clicking on execute. There are 0 rows. What I will do is, I will immediately go to a specific opportunity and I will mark today's date as the close date, just to see if my SOQL query is really working or not. I'm going to a specific opportunity, going to details. I'm coming over here. Today's date is 26. Clicking on save. Coming to developer console again, I can click on refresh grid. There is something called as refresh grid. If I click, it will immediately do a thorough scan with the SOQL query whatever I have written. So if you see, it is immediately showing me that there is 1 record. Earlier it is showing me 0, now it is showing me 1, because I just modified a specific record. Without you clicking on either of these buttons, it will not show you the results. You have to click on the button, because this page is static, not really dynamic. It will not scan your org for every 5 minutes or for every 5 seconds. Once you create a record, or once you update a record, for that results to be appearing over here, you have to write a fresh SOQL query or click on refresh it in order to see the accurate results. Okay. Now let us look into the third example. Get all the accounts created in the last 5 days. Get all the accounts created in the last 5 days. So, okay, fine. So what I will do is, I will query for name from account. I know that I have to use a where class here. Now let us understand, how can we identify when this record was created? Do we have any field for holding the created date? Yes, there is a field by name created date, due to which I can make use of that field. If I open any of the record in my system, I see that there is a field by name created by the name is created by. Now what I will do is, I will go to object manager in order to see the API name. I'm coming to fields and relationships. I see that there is something called as created by, but there is no such field by name created date. If you see, there is no such field by name created date. Now, how can I actually implement this? I see that the requirement is stating that I have to get all the accounts created in the last 5 days, but there is no field which is telling me that there is no field which is holding the created date. Though I come here, it is showing me everything: who is the user and what time, at what date and time. But there is no field that is actually showing me the results. At this point of time, you have to understand that whatever you see in the fields and relationships are not just the fields that are present in this object. There are many hidden fields. There are also many other fields that are present for every object. Now, how can we see those specific fields? Yes, I understand that if I come to fields and relationships, all the fields that are present will be coming up. But there is a catch over there. Not all fields will be coming up. Only few fields. When I say few fields, only the fields for which user should be provided access to, or only the fields for which user should be given access easily will be shown to you over here. Now, for the other fields that are hidden, how can we do this? Is you need to type the object name, account, object, just use SOAP API. If you want to look for opportunity object, SOAP API. If you want to look for any other object name, then the object keyword SOAP API. If you do this, you will be getting a block from Salesforce. Try to open that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I see someone messaging in the chat stating that what is the link for opening the SOAP API. You don't really need the link for this. What you can do is you just type the object name, whatever object you wanted to look into, but make sure that it is a standard object, because for custom object SOAP APIs and all, there won't be any specific links because they're created by you for your own purpose. So type the object name, then a keyword object, and then SOAP API. If you want to do it for opportunity, just opportunity object, SOAP API. If you want to do for any object, any standard object that is present inside Salesforce, if you want to understand all the hidden details of it, just type this like this: account object SOAP API. I am opening the very first link that I see over here. Then it will show you all the fields that are not present here. Now I'm coming here and then I see that there is a field by name created date. There is a field by name created, though it is not coming up here because I know I immediately opened it up. But if you are not so familiar with this, what you can do is you can come here and you can try to read the entire details of this specific object to understand what fields are available and what are their specific properties. Just because I know that this field is available, I directly made a query. But if you understand the entire blog, you will be understand what other fields are present for you to make access to. So currently, yes, created date is the field that I am looking at. So I'm copying created date and then I am pasting it over here. Now, what is the requirement? The requirement is that I have to get all the accounts that are created in the last 5 days. Okay. Now, how will I tell to the system to get the records that are created in the 5 days? Means I have one idea in mind. My idea is I will be telling that created date is less than 26th February and created date is greater than, I'm subtracting 5 minus 26, which will be 21. So this is what I can do. This will give me the records that are created in the last 5 days. Maybe I can also specify greater than or equal to. In this way, I will be able to query for all the accounts that are created in the last 5 days. But let me tell you that if you see here, it is a date time field, not a date field. So now the format is again different because we understood that the format for date is year, month, and then date separated by a hyphen. But whereas now we are trying to deal with a date time field. That is the reason why you always see time appended to the date whenever you create a record. Now, what is the format for date time? The format for date time is quite similar to date, year, month, date, and then you have to specify this letter called T. After T, provide the hours, minutes, seconds, and then a Z. Okay, this is kind of complex, but still let us try to accomplish this. Now, what I will do is, okay, created date should be less than 2 days, which is 2022, and then the month, and then the date, and then yes, I understood that I have to specify a letter by name T. Okay, fine. Then what I will be doing is I will be just giving 0000 01Z or maybe 00Z, anything should be fine. And I will be giving greater than or equal to the same thing, but this time I will keep it as, sorry, it is 26 here, it is 21 here. So what will this do? It will try to give me the records that are created in between 21 to 26. Now I am clicking on execute. Yes, there are 8 records that are created, but is this really that easy for the developer to write? This is not really that easy. This is kind of complex for anyone. So due to which Salesforce gave us a provision that is nothing but date literals. There is something called as literals. By making use of literals, you can simplify this query in a very easy way. So let us understand what is this date literal or what is this literal. Literals are nothing but keywords, like how you have select keyword, like how you have from keyword, like how you have where keyword. In the same way, SOQL is giving us few keywords, and by making use of those keywords, you can write your SOQL query very easily, very efficiently. So let us understand what are those literals here. So what I'll be doing is date literals SOQL, and I am opening this up. Date formats and date literals. Now if I come here, yes, they are specifying me that this is the format for date time, this is the format, and if I scroll down, I have some keywords here. So what is it telling me? If you want to get the records that are created just yesterday, you don't have to worry about the format. You don't really have to identify the date and provide it. If you just say yesterday, system will give you. So now if I want to get the records that are created yesterday, I can just say created date is equal to yesterday. I don't really have to worry about the format. Okay. If you want to get the records that are created today, just say created date equal to today. That's it. If you want to identify a records for which you want to give tomorrow's date, just use the keyword tomorrow. Now, if you want to get something that was created in the last week, just use this last week. That's it. If you see here, how are they trying to make use? They're trying to get all the accounts where created date is greater than last week. So if you make use of this keyword, you don't really have to worry about the format. Okay, year, month, date, and then T, hours, minutes, seconds. You don't have to worry about them at all. By using last week, you will be able to get all the records that were created on the first day of the week before the most recent first day of the week, and continues for 7 full days. When you say this week, from in this week, whatever records were created, they will be coming up. When you say next week, records from the next week. When you say last month, from the last month. This month means you will be getting the records that are created in this month. When you say next month, yes, you will be able to see the records that are having dates from next month onwards. When you say last 90 days, which is for quarter actually, when you say last 90 days, it will look for 90 days, last 90 days. When you say next 90 days, it will be looking for next 90 days. But for our requirement, we are not looking for 90 days or 100 days or 30 days. We are looking just for 5 days. Do we have any such keyword for 5 days? No, we do not have any such keyword for 5 days. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, no, it is not fitting in the window frame of 5 days. Last week, this week, next week, no, even this is not fitting. Last month, this month, next month, even this is not fitting. Last 90 days, next 90 days, even these two are also not fitting. Then comes the special keyword that is fitting my specific criteria. It is telling that if your day filter is not meeting any of the literals mentioned above, then what you can do is you can make use of something like this. You can specify the number, how many days you wanted to provide. So you can just say last n days with a colon and then the number. Correct. This suits my purpose. So what I will do is I will say last n days, and what are the days that I have to look for? I have to look for 5. So if you say where created date is equal to last n days colon and then 5, system will be so smart enough to understand that I have to query for the records that were created in the last 5 days. So now if I click on execute, I am seeing the same 8 rows which I saw when I provided a very complex query. Now, when you compare with the effort that you had actually put in order to write this SOQL query with this SOQL query is very, very easy to remember and also to write. So these are different literals that are available for us. By making use of these literals, you can write your SOQL query in a very efficient way and make it readable. And also it will be kind of easy for you to implement. Now, we don't really have to recollect these methods because no one will be kind of judging. But remember that there is a concept called date literals, and if you remember last n days, then you can write any SOQL query. To be honest, if you remember this specific keyword last n days, you can write any SOQL query. Now I don't know any SOQL query. Someone came to me and told me that get me the records that were created just yesterday. I will just say one here. Get me the records that were created tomorrow. Then I will say next n days and then one. I have something called as last n days, next n days. So if I remember next n days and last n days, then I don't have to remember any other date literal at all. In this way, I can make it easy. Now someone comes to me and tells me that, can you get me the records that were created in the last 15 days? Means I will just simply write it like this. Even if they tell me in the last week, I will just say 7, because week is for 7 days. So if you remember these two literals, last n days and the next n days, you can create n number of possibilities. But the thing is, rather than making use of last n days all the time, I recommend all of you to go through this specific website and understand different literals and their significances. Okay, though you will be able to achieve just by making use of these two keywords, but still there are many other keywords that can actually help you in writing the SOQL query in a much better way. I will be I will copy all those links in Notepad, or maybe I can ping in the Zoom link itself, so it will be helpful and you will not be missing it. So this is how I am able to achieve my requirement here. So let me just try to implement this again. Get all the accounts created in the last 5 days. Okay, so select ID comma name from account where created it in last n days and then 5. So yes, this is fetching me the records that are created in the last 5 days. Perfect. Then let's look into the next example. Get all the contacts having John in their name. Having John in their name. Okay, this is kind of strange because we have not seen this till now. First, let us do it only till here. Get all the contacts. Okay, now we know how to get all the contacts. Select ID comma name from contact, which is kind of straightforward. Okay, then we are looking having John in their name. When they say having John in their name, we have to understand the fact that name is not a field on contact. It could be a shock, but let me tell you, name is not an actual field on contact. When you try to create a new contact record, the field that you see is not name here, but the field that you see is first name, last name. Then what is this name? Name is combination of salutation, first name. I don't think salutation will be taken into consideration, but it is combination of these three fields. Now, if you look into the requirement, it is telling that having John in their name. Now, which means John could be present in the first name or John could be present in the last name, and some uncertainties here. Now we have to identify a record in which it could be starting with some other thing and then ending with John, or it could be starting with John and then ending with some other thing. That is something which we have not really considered in this specific slide. We know that we have something called as arithmetic operators, and we know that we also have something called as logic operators, but this requirement is kind of strange. How can we actually identify the contacts for which John is present? It could be starting with John or ending with John. How can we actually identify that? Then here comes the rescue. Like is the keyword that will be helping us here. When you say like, it could be more like contains. If you have worked on the formula fields, there is something called as includes. By making use of includes, you will be able to see if a specific keyword is present in a term. In the same way, when you make use of like, it acts more like contains. It should not, it doesn't have to be equal to. Even if a portion of it is present, then yes, I am satisfied. That is how the like keyword will be working. So let us try to understand how like keyword can be made use of. Now what I will do here is select ID comma name from contact where name like John. This is what I'm writing, because I know that I have to make use of field here. I know that this is the keyword that I'm looking for, and just now I got to know that like is something that I have to make use of. Let me click on execute. This is throwing me an error. Why? Because I am not following some specific syntax. What is that? First thing, whenever you're making use of something text in your SOQL query as part of the where clause, remember that you have to follow a specific format. Like how we are following a specific format for date by giving the value in this format. In the same way, when you are trying to look for a text, then you have to enclose it in single quotes, else it will be thrown as an error. Yes, I know that name is a text field, so let me put it in single quotes. If I click on execute, okay, where name like John, but nothing came up. This is incorrect. Reason, I see that there are many records that are having John, and just now I told you that whenever I make use of like keyword, it is acting more like contains. Then is this incorrect? So now the thing is, you have to understand that when you just say like and then the the such string that you are looking for, it acts more like is equal to. It acts exactly like is equal to. If you do not specify anything, if you just say like and then the such string, it is nothing less than an is equal to. Then my requirement is for contains. How will the like keyword help me? Means at this point of time, you should also understand that there is something called as wildcard. You have to specify something like this. If you specify something, I mean, it should be like not equal to, because wildcards are supported only for like operator. If you specify something like this, then system will understand that, okay, I have to find the contacts in my system that can start with anything, but that should end with John. Now let me click on execute. It is still showing me 0 records. Reason being, neither of the records in my system are starting with something and ending with John. Okay, for every record I see that it is not ending with John. Now what I will do is, I will specify this wildcard over here. Now I am telling to the system that my records, get me all the records that are starting with John, and then they can contain anything. I'm least bothered. Now let me click on execute. Now if you see, I received 4 records. All these 4 records are starting with John, and then they can hold anything. So this is how you will be making use of the like keyword with combination of a wildcard. Does it mean that I have to specify wildcard only at the end? No, you can specify it at the beginning. You can specify something like this. If you do something like this, then the system will understand that it can start with anything, it can end with anything, but in the middle I should be see something called as John. This is how like keyword it means, I mean like keyword can be made use of. Whenever you make use of like keyword, always remember to use wildcards. If you do not use wildcards, it is nothing but almost like a is equal to operator. You don't really have to make use of like keyword at all. You can just say where name equal to John and get your requirement done, because we know that arithmetic operators are supported. We see that arithmetic operators are supported, so I can just write equal to here. Why should I go for a big keyword? When you are making use of this keyword, remember to make use of a wildcard. Based on your requirement, you can place your wildcard. It could be at the beginning, or it could be at the end, or it could be at both. So by making use of wildcard in a smart way, you are able to fetch the records that are containing a specific search string. Then let's look into the example again. Get all the contacts having John in their name. Yes, we achieved it. Select ID comma name from contact where name like John. Then let's look into the next example. Get all the contacts that do not have John in their name. Okay, now again, we understood the usage of arithmetic operators. We have not considered logical operators yet. I'll come to that. Then in the special mention, we have considered like. Now the requirement is telling me that get me the records that are not meeting a specific criteria. Till now we have considered the scenarios of fetching records that are meeting criteria, but now we are trying to fetch records that are not meeting a specific criteria. And for this we will be coming into the concept of logical operators, and one logical operator that we have is not. To make it clear, not of true is false, not of false is true. It will just give you the opposite value. Now what I will do is where name not like John. Okay, this is incorrect. Now we have to understand that. Okay, even this is also not supported. Okay, so here we have to understand one concept here. We understood that not will just give me the opposite of it. Okay, fine. But how can I make use of not inside a SOQL query? Okay, how should I make use of not inside SOQL query? Means not will turn true into false and false into true. But you have to place this not exactly before your criteria. This is how you have to specify. Where not, you have your criteria here. Whichever is not meeting this criteria, get me those records. If you see, there are 36 records, and among these 36 there are no records for which there is a keyword by name John. Neither of the records are having John. How did I do? I did not specify this not over here or over here. I wrote my condition first, and Which records are not meeting my criteria? For that specific condition, I am adding this not. I don't have to specify parentheses to make it clear. I specified them, but it is always good to write parentheses. It will be clear for us to understand. So where not, and then your condition. So whichever records are not meeting this condition will be shown to you over here. So this is what this example is about. It is telling get all the contacts that do not have John in their name. So what did we do? First, we identified the contacts for which John is present in the name, and then we have added a keyword called not, which is available to me as part of the logical operator. And by using this, I am able to fetch the contacts for which I do not have John. Then get all the accounts for which number of employees are more than 500 with an annual revenue of at least 1 million. Okay, this is having multiple conditions. Now let us understand how this will actually work. So let's understand, get all the accounts. Let's break it down into multiple parts so it will be easy for us to write a SOQL query. The first part is get all the accounts. So first let's write the query for the accounts. Select ID comma name from account. Yes, we are done here. Then for which number of employees are more than 500 with an annual revenue of at least 1 million. So now we know that there are two conditions here. First condition is that number of employees should be more than 500. So I know that I have to use a where condition because I'm trying to filter something here. Then number of employees are more than 500. We recently understood that there is a field by name number of employees. So I'm writing that field here. Number of employees are greater than 500. And then I also have one more condition stating that with an annual revenue of at least 1 million. Okay, I also know that there is a field by name annual revenue, but let me just confirm the API name. Yes, annual revenue is the API name. Annual revenue of greater than how much? At least 1 million. So it should be greater than 1 million. Million will be having 6 zeros. There are two conditions here, and as part of my requirement, both of these conditions should be satisfied. When you come across a situation where you have multiple conditions and both of them ought to be satisfied, means again you have to come to the logical operator. And yes, in the logical operator we see something called as and here. So let us write and here. When you say and, you are telling to the system that I want to fetch the records on this specific object with these fields, and both of these conditions should be satisfied. Get me the records for which both of these conditions are met. Let me click on execute, and I see that there are just 6 records present in my system for which the number of employees are greater than 500 and the annual revenue is greater than 1 million. Let me also query for this number of employees and also annual revenue just to see if it is actually working in the way desired or not. So I'm copying annual revenue here, clicking on execute. If you see here, I told the number of employees should be greater than 500. Yes, for all these records, I see the number of employees are greater than 500. And annual revenue should be greater than 1 million, at least 1 million. So I can say greater than or greater than equal to. It's completely on my requirement. So yes, I see that for all these records, the annual revenue is greater than 1 million. Now let's change the requirement and say that get me all the records for which number of employees is greater than 500 or annual revenue is at least 1 million. Then you can just simply replace and with or. When you use this keyword or, you are telling to the system that either of these conditions are met, then get me the records. So I'm just clicking on execute. Now if you see, the record count has increased. Earlier the record count is just 6, but now the record count has become 14. If you see here, number of employees are blank, but still this record came. Why? Because the annual revenue is greater than 1 million. If you see here, annual revenue is blank, but still this record came because number of employees value is greater than 500. Then let's come here. Get all the accounts for which billing city is either New York or Chicago or Singapore. Okay, this should be kind of simple for us because we understood the usage of logical operators. So first let us see get all the accounts. Okay, we have already a query written to get all the accounts, and then I have to write a where keyword here, which is fine. Billing city should be either New York or Chicago or Singapore. Okay, I know that there is a field by name billing city is equal to, it is of New York. As I know that it is of text field, I have to specify it in single quotes. New York or billing city is equal to Chicago or billing city is equal to Singapore. Yes, this will give me the results that I'm actually looking for. But I see that I am unnecessarily writing a very big SOQL query. My where clause is entirely relying on only one field. If you see, the criteria is completely relying on only one field, but I am looking for multiple values in this specific field, due to which the query length became too long. Now, is there a way where I can reduce the length? Means yes. If at all you come across a situation where your where clause is relying on only one field with multiple values, then you can make use of a special keyword called in. This in keyword can be used only if you are using a or operator between multiple conditions that are relying on only one field. Yes, in our specific criteria, I am relying on only one field. So what I will do is, I will just say where billing city in New York, Chicago, Singapore. That's it. This is what I will tell. And I'll click on execute. But system is throwing me an error because I am not obeying the syntax of it. What is the syntax? Whenever you are making use of in keyword, specify your values separated by a comma. When you're having multiple values, you have to specify a comma. Only then I will be able to understand. Then I will not be able to understand. So yes, I'm putting a comma here, telling to the system that, okay, these are the values that you should look for. Then I am clicking on execute. Even then it is not allowing me, because whenever you are making use of in operator, there is one special prerequisite that you have to specify the values in a parenthesis. Only then it will allow, else it will not allow. You have to provide parenthesis, only then the system will be able to understand. So what did I do here? I just try to reduce the length of my SOQL query. Where am I? Okay, if you see here, I just try to reduce the length of my SOQL query by making use of in operator here. I know where billing city is equal to New York, or billing city is equal to Chicago, or billing city is equal to Singapore has been completely replaced by making use of billing city in New York, Chicago, and Singapore. So this is how I am trying to reduce the length of my SOQL query. I will tell in the next slides that there is a limitation on the length of your SOQL query also. So do not try to have big SOQL queries. Try to make your SOQL queries in an efficient way by identifying the good keyword that is suiting your requirement. In that way, you can make it efficient and also generate same amount of output or a very efficient output. So remember that whenever you are making use of in keyword, you need to separate values by a comma, and you have to enclose all those values within parentheses. Only then the system will be able to understand, else it will throw an error. Okay, now before I move on to the next slide, any questions on the keywords that I had made use of in order to filter a record? Any questions, anyone? Okay, I see that it's pretty much good. Okay, I see some questions coming up. Can we save the query for future use as a button? Where and in don't have to be capped. Okay, fine. Let me tell you, SOQL is completely, I think I mentioned it, but okay, it's fine. Okay, I did not mention that. It is not at all case sensitive. You can use either lowercase or uppercase. It has nothing to do with the case sensitivity at all. Then in is used as multiple or conditions. Yes, in order to avoid multiple or conditions that are on a same field, you will be making use of in keyword. What if first name is Jonathan? Yes, when you say John and then a wildcard by using like operator, it will come up. I mean, it doesn't have to be holding any space. If it is containing, it will come up. What if query execution timing for both for in and or? To be honest, when we speak about the timing, it is not of much difference, but in is considered as efficient when compared with or. Because I will tell you the reason why. When you are making use of or condition, first this condition should be checked, then this condition should be checked, and then this condition should be checked. But whereas in here, it is kind of easy for the system to understand, but this is considered as efficient when compared with this. But you cannot go with in operator all the time. The only scenario where you can go for in operator is when you are relying on only one field with multiple values. Okay, what if the first name is Jonathan, but I need just names having John as first name or not? Then you can say where first name equal to John. Why do you need like operator? Any other questions? Okay, let me go for my next slides. Okay, thank you. Then now we understood how to query for records, and then we also understood how to apply filter for records. Now let us try to understand how to limit the number of records that are being sent. Okay, let me take an example. I know that in my system there are around 30 to 40,000 records. I do not want all those records. I just want only 10 records. So how can I do that? Means for this we have a keyword called limit. When you use this specific keyword called limit, you should specify a number immediately. Like how you are specifying the field names immediately after putting the select keyword, like how you are specifying the object name after the from keyword, like how you are specifying criteria after having the where keyword. In the same way, whenever you make use of the limit keyword, immediately you need to specify a number, and that number will determine how many records are to be fetched. When you say limit 1, only 1 record will be fetched. When you say limit 5, only 5 records will be fetched. Now let's go for a scenario where an object is holding only 10 records, and you say limit 20. What should happen? As there are only 10 records, even though you specify limit 20, only 10 records will be coming up. So when you say limit and then a number, system will try to fetch less than or equal to the number of records whatever you have specified. Because if there are no records in the system, just because you have specified a higher limit, it cannot create and fetch you, right? So that is the reason why limit whatever number you specify after the limit keyword will determine the maximum count of the records that can be fetched as part of your SOQL query. Why is it maximum count and not the exact count? Because whatever number you have specified might be matching with the count of records that are present in the system, or might not be matching, due to which whatever number you specify after the limit keyword is considered as the maximum size or maximum count of the records that can be fetched as part of your SOQL query. I'll take examples, but let's try to make us aware of one more keyword called offset. We will have examples in combination of both of them. Then what is this offset? Offset is a keyword that will allow you to specify the index. Okay, this is kind of technical now. Let us understand what is this index and how can we do this. When you make use of offset, you're telling that, okay, there are 10 records in my system. Yes, my SOQL query is getting records, or my SOQL query is checking from the very first record. Now, I do not want my SOQL query to check from the first record in the table. I want my SOQL query to check records only from third record in the table. Ignore first 2 records. Those 2 records should never come into my results at all. Ignore the first 2 records. Start checking only from the third record. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to set an index to the system stating that do not start from the first row, start from the third row. You're telling that consider third row as first row and then start your search. As you're specifying a custom index or you're specifying your own index for your requirement, we say that offset is a keyword to specify index of the starting row while fetching records, which means if you say offset 3, first 2 records will never come. When you say offset 5, first 4 records will never come. I mean, first 5 records will never come. So this is how we will be making use of offset keyword. Now we will be wondering, why will there be at least ever a valid use case to make use of offset? Means yes, we will see some examples. There are some scenarios where we have to make use of offset in order to meet the requirement, but at a high level, limit will specify a number of records to be fetched. Offset will specify the custom index with which what should be the index of my first row. That is what offset is for. Let's look into some examples. Get id, I think get id, name and amount of any one opportunity. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. So what I will do is id, name, amount of any one opportunity, they said. So from opportunity, and I know that there is a keyword by name limit, and I'm just specifying limit 1. Yes, as simple as that. So what did we try to do? Get id, name and amount of any one opportunity. Okay, this is good. Then get id, name and amount of any one opportunity. Okay, we have a stage field, and in the stage field we have a value called closed one. So now they're telling that get me id, name and amount of any one opportunity for which the stage name is closed one. When they say 1, it is that stage name is equal to closed one. So what I will do, I know that there is a keyword called where. So I will say where stage name is equal to closed one. But this is throwing me an error. Now how should I do it? I understood that I have to query for only one record, due to which I specified limit. I also know that I wanted to get only one record, and that one record should be satisfying my criteria. Now how should I do this? Means the keyword is correct, the criteria is correct, but the thing that we did wrong here is the placement. So always remember that first specify your fields that you want to query along with the object name, and then your criteria. And once the filtering is done, once you're done with your filtering, with the filtered results, provide your limitation. So limit one should always be at the end. If you say limit one over here, now what will system do? System will try to fetch for some record. It will try to fetch any random record, because you're just telling limit one. It will try to fetch any random record, and that random record might meet this criteria or might not meet this criteria, due to which your results might be inaccurate. Your results will be inaccurate, not might be. So that is the reason why you should always ensure that you are doing your filtering first and then provide your limit in order to get the accurate results. Now if I try to click on execute, see, I'm getting a valid proper output. I'm getting only one record, and I'm ensuring that this one record is meeting my criteria. Let me also query for stage name. Then yes, I will be able to ensure yes, it is closed one. So what did I do wrong earlier? I made sure that I'm following the syntax, but the placement is wrong. So in SOQL, placement also holds equal significance of every keyword. Just if you understand the way how every keyword works, does not really make you a very good SOQL developer, but you should also ensure that you are also understanding their corresponding placements. You have to first write the select keyword, then from keyword, then where should come, and then limit should come. This is the order that has to be followed. This is not really a huge concept to understand. The thing is, first we are specifying the field names and then the object name, then your criteria, and then your limiting. As simple as that. Let's go into the next example. Get ID, name, and amount of any one opportunity with highest amount. Okay, second highest amount. Did I? Okay, I think I missed one topic here. Okay, before we go into this specific example, let us cover one more concept. I think by now we are clear on how the limiting work. We will understand how the offset work. But before we go into offset, let us understand one more concept here. With this, we will be able to relate to on the concept of offset. Let us try to understand the concept of sorting records. We understand that the records are coming in a random order. Now I do not want my records to be coming up in a random order. I want my records to be coming up in some ascending order based on a value present in a specific field. I want my records to be coming in descending order. Then what should we do? Means then the concept of sorting records will be coming into picture. And in order to sort the records, the keyword that is available for us is order by. Order by is the keyword that is available. Then what is the syntax of it? Order by is holding a very basic syntax. Whenever you make use of order by, immediately specify a field name. That's it, you are done. If you say order by name, that's it. I will be sorting it based on name. But in which order? I have not specified the order, right? If you do not specify any order, I will sort them in ascending order. But if you specify me an order, then I will specify in the order that you are specifying. So if you do not specify anything, the default sort order is ascending. But if you want a specific sort order to be provided, then you have to either give ASC is for ascending, DESC is for descending. Based on the keyword that you specify, corresponding sorting does happen. But the the syntax is order by and then field name. Ascending or descending is kind of optional here, because if you do not specify anything, even then the system is quite smart enough to do the sorting. So let us take one example here. Get all the opportunities sorted by the highest probability. So what I will do, select ID, stage name, from opportunity. I'll also query for probability here. I have received all the records. Now they're coming in different orders. Now what I want to do is I want them to be sorted. Order space by and then probability. That's it. Order by and then the field name. Remember that order by is not a single word. Though it is a keyword, there is a space between order and by. Now I'm clicking on execute, and now I see that okay, they have been sorted in the ascending order. Though I did not specify the order, even then the system did the sorting by taking ascending as the default sort. Now what I want to do is I want them to be sorted in descending order. So just say DESC. Okay. So this is how order by works. Order by and then the field name. And the accepted keywords are ASC and DSC. You should not specify ascending or descending. You have to make use of either of these keywords. Let us look into some examples. Get all the opportunities sorted by highest probability. We just did that. Get all the accounts sorted by the created date in descending order. Okay, let's do that. From select ID comma name, from account order by created date, because we know that there is a field by name created date. I'm making use of created date here. Get all the accounts sorted by created in descending order. So I have specified DSC. Now I'm clicking on execute. Yes, this fetched me the records that I'm looking for. Get all the opportunities sorted by highest probability and then with the highest amount. Okay, this is kind of tricky. Let us understand why, in which kind of a scenario, something like this will be coming up. If you look into this opportunity, let me execute the same query again. Let me provide ascending. If you see, there are multiple records with the same probability. At this point of time, how is the sorting happening? I understood. Yes, least probability should be coming up first. When there are two records with same probability, which record should be coming up first? Even that also can be specified by making use of order by. Okay, how will I be doing that? Means first you specify based on which field do you want to do the sorting. If there are multiple records that are having same value, then you can also specify some other field name that we should look at. Now what I want to do is order by probability. If there are multiple records with same probability, then look at their account, then look at their amount and then decide which record should be coming up first. So what you will do, order by probability ascending, and then you can say amount ascending. That's it. If you see here, I mean, as I said, ascending, blank value is considered as 0, due to which they came up first, and then 15,000 and then 1 lakh. If you see, for 50 also there are two records. First 80,000 came up and then 2,50,000 came up. Same for 60, 15,000, 35,000 and then 60,000. So when you use order by, it doesn't mean that you can do sorting only for one field. You can do sorting for combination of fields, but the primary sorting can happen only on one column. If there are multiple records that are meeting, that are holding the same value for the sort field that you specify, then you can specify one more sort field to tell that, okay, if there are multiple records with same value, then use this field to determine which record should be coming up first. If you do not specify, then I will randomly pick. That is what system is up to. Then get all the one opportunities sorted by the highest amount. Okay, this is a good example. Now we understood that I have a field by name, stage name, and this will hold a value called closed one. Okay, now what is the requirement here? I have to get all the one opportunities sorted by the highest amount. Okay, so what I will do, I will try to sort them here, order by amount, and as I said, highest amount I am specifying descending here, and I'm clicking on execute. Again I just throwing an error. I understood that the syntax is right and the condition whatever I have specified is also right, but why is it failing? Because the placement is wrong. First specify your criteria and then do the sorting. This is how you have to do. Now it is working fine. Same applies for limit. Now if I have to apply limit, where should I apply limit? Should I apply limit over here or over here? Means first query for the records, then apply your filter, do the sorting, and once your sorting is done, then apply the limit. This is the order. This is the order that we have to follow. Now let's look into the examples of here, then we will be able to understand clearly what offset is all about. Now get ID, name, amount of any one opportunity with highest amount. Okay, so what did we do here? We have written a query stating that from opportunity where stage name is closed one, and we are sorting it with the amount in the descending order, and what do they want with highest amount. So if I click on this, I know that, why is this coming up? Okay, let me do one thing. Clicking on designing, execute. Okay, ignore that, it's a bad data. Okay, so what I did was, I am writing a SOQL query stating that where stage name is equal to closed one, order by amount descending. Now if I do this, I am pretty much sure that this is the record with the highest amount. Now what is the requirement here? Get ID and name of a one opportunity with highest amount. Now they're asking for only this specific record and not for any other record. So what will I do? I will just say limit one. That's it. Now if I do this, I'm getting only one record. Why? Yeah, okay. It's because of some cache issue. When I click on refresh grid, I'm getting the proper results. So what did I do here? I just provided limit 1 over here. As I have provided limit 1, whatever record I see here, that came up. So in this way, I am able to identify the opportunity with highest amount. If you want to fetch a record of account object with highest revenue, you can do this. If you want to fetch a contract with with highest amount, you can do that. If you want to fetch an opportunity line item that is having maximum sales price, you can bring it. In this way, you will be able to sort it and also make use of limit clause in order to get a specific drilled down set of records rather than getting all the records. So this is the process. Now let us understand why should we use offset. We understood that yes, there can be a concept where we have to, there could be a scenario where we have to use the concept of order by, and yes, we can also make use of limit. When should I actually go for offset? Now what I wanted to do is I want to get the opportunity with second highest amount. I do not want to get the record with first highest amount. I want to get the record with second highest amount. Then what should I do? With the ordering that I have specified, this is how the table is getting generated. Now I do not want first record to be coming up, but I want only the second record to be coming up. Then what should I do? If I say limit 1, first record is coming, but I do not want first record to come up, I want only the second record to come up. Then what we can do is make use of this keyword called offset and then say offset 1. Now if you see here, what happened? Because you specified offset as 1, index is starting with the first row. It did not even consider this. Index is starting with the first row, and so this record came up. So this is how you are able to make use of offset. If you want to identify a record with second highest amount, make sure that you are providing offset. This is how it works. Then let's look into the next example. Get ID, name, and billing revenue of account with fifth highest billing revenue. Okay, this is kind of strange. They're asking for fifth billing revenue. So select ID, name. There is no and when you're specifying fields. From account, I'm clicking on execute. Okay, I misspelled select here. From account. So there is no such field by name billing revenue. It is annual revenue. Annual revenue. So select ID, name from annual revenue from account. Okay, till then we are good. Of account with fifth highest billing revenue. Okay, they're asking for account record that is holding fifth place when it is sorted with billing revenue. Okay, so order by this, and then I'm specifying descending. When you say descending, okay, one good point that has to be made here. When you say descending, blank value will be coming up first. So always remember, blank value will be coming up first for a currency when you say descending. So what we can do is let us add it. It's a, I don't know if it is a limitation or if it is an expected functionality. There are many ideas in the community forum stating that do not consider blank values when we are doing order by, but that is still in progress work from Salesforce. So now what I will do is I will say where annual revenue not equal to null. I can use this, or I can say annual revenue greater than 0, just to ensure that I am getting only the records for which there is a value, and then I am sorting them. Now, as per the requirement, they want with the fifth highest record. So limit 1 because they want only one record, and then I'm specifying the index as offset 5. If I do this, then I am seeing the fifth record 1 2 3 4 5. This is the fifth record, and this record is coming up over here, and this is how I am making use of the combination of limit offset with some sorting logic implemented. So this is the significance of this. Okay, now any questions? There is no such limitations when we speak about this, but usually do not go for many fields after the order by. Reason being, you should not have multiple records with same values, but even though if you still have it, when you say order by amount, then immediately say order by name. That will be kind of good enough, because most of the names will be unique. So do not have more number of fields. That if you specify more number of fields after order by, you are just making it difficult for the system. Currently there are no such limitations. If you order by deciding null values, or at the bottom rows. Order by for currency field is not currently as expected. There are some known issues, and there are also some ideas on the same. The behavior is kind of different when we speak about currency field order by in SOQL. This is a known issue, and due to which most of the developers, whoever are making use of currency fields in SOQL, they tend to follow this practice, stating that where annual revenue is greater than 0 or not equal to null, something like that, in order to get the accurate results. If you do not specify any limit, this that I will cover in the coming slides, but always remember that it is a good practice to provide limit. If you want to deal with only 2 records or 3 records, provide limit. If you want all records, only then do not specify limit. Could you please explain last query again? Okay, I'll explain it again. Now what I want to do is get ID, name and billing revenue of account. So let me take it step by step. So I am trying to query for ID, name, annual revenue from account. Then with 5th highest billing revenue. So I understood that I have to sort them based on the billing revenue. Okay, order by billing revenue, and then I'm specifying descending. The moment I do this, it is annual revenue. The API name is annual revenue, not billing revenue. See, it is not case sensitive, due to which I can type in any case, but that's not a good practice. Always give proper casing. If I see this, I see that null values are coming up first. This is kind of incorrect. So what will I do? I will specify a condition stating that where annual revenue value is greater than 0, annual revenue greater than 0. Okay, now I got these records. Now in these records, what do I want? I want to specify the 5th record. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for getting only 1 record, I'm specifying limit 1 here. And for specifying the 5th record, okay, I think this is one point which I missed earlier. When you say offset 1, the index is starting with this. When you say offset 2, index is starting with this, which means index is starting with 0. That is the thing that we have to remember. When you say offset 1, this is starting with this, but as I want the 5th record to be coming up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As I want the 5th record to be coming up, I should not specify offset 5. I should specify offset 4. Only then I will be getting the accurate records. So let me just reiterate it again. First, I am trying to query for all the records. Then I have specified a criteria. Then I am trying to sort them. Then I am tell to the system that get me only 1 record, and then I am telling that provide me this. Also, let me tell you, if you want to still go deep, there is a provision where you can specify if the null value should be coming up at the beginning or null value should be coming up at the last in the order by. There is a provision for that as well, but I personally recommend not to make use of that when you are trying to deal with currency fields. Reason being, it will, when we speak about the query planning or when we look at it from the efficiency measures, that will consume some good amount of time. For other fields, yes, it is recommended, but for currency, let's not go into that specific route. It is better to do the filtering in the initial go itself rather than querying for the null records and then putting them at somewhere. Better to query them in the initial go itself, because less the number of records you get as an end result, more efficient the query is. So this is what I did, offset 4. Okay, let me, any other questions?
Can we fetch the data from 2 different tables, like account and opportunity?
We can do that.
Okay.
That will be covered in the relationships. Currently, we are dealing with only one object, but yes, that is doable. Okay, Anand, should we take break now, or I have one more topic after that? Should we take break?
Yeah, you can complete that topic and you can take a break.
Okay, fine.
11:15 we can take a break and
perfect. I'll do that. Okay then. So now let's understand this concept. I think with this we can wrap the concept of SOQL to a very great extent. Then aggregates in SOQL query. So what is this aggregate? Why should we go for this aggregates? Let me take a step back here and let me bring up the concept of roll-up summary fields, which we might have seen on the master object when there is a master detail relationship among 2 objects. I hope you all must be familiar with this term roll-up summary. Roll-up summary is a type of field that you can create on the parent object, provided that there is a master detail relationship. By using this roll-up summary, you will be able to get count of child records, sum of child records, or the minimum value or the maximum value. So that is something which you'll be doing by making use of roll-up summary fields. And also, if you have worked on summary reports, you should also be able to understand that you are trying to prepare a report by grouping a specific field. That is what a summary report. Now let us take some requirements in order to implement the concept of roll-up summary and also summary reports while writing a SOQL query. Let us try to understand that. This is kind of important. This is more like an advanced SOQL, but this is really very, very important. This is something which we tend to do in almost our day-to-day life while writing efficient Apex code. So when we speak about roll-up summary, we know that we are able to achieve few functionalities. When you create a roll-up field, yes, this is something which you will be able to do. So almost similar things we are also able to do it in SOQL as well. When you try to create a summary report, you are just grouping your report based on a specific field. Now I will take some examples to make it clear for you. I do not have any specific syntax that I have written over here. Let us take an example. With that example, you will be able to relate. But try to understand that these are the provisions that are available for us while writing a SOQL query. Sum, minimum, maximum value, average value, count, and then count distinct. Let's take examples to understand the significance of each and every keyword in a better way. Next, get count of all the opportunities. This is one example. So as part of this example, we can just say select ID from opportunity. I can say select ID from opportunity. This will get me all the records. If I just say ID, I'm getting only the ID, and it is showing me the total rows is 35. It is generating a table for me, and in this table it is counting every row and it is showing for me. I do not want table at all. I just need a number. I do not want to utilize unnecessary resources. I just want the count of records that are available. Then what should I do means, you have a specific keyword that is available for you as part of the aggregates. What is that? You have something called as count. When you just say count from opportunity, if you see here, nothing came up, just the count. You're not getting anything, just the count. When you say count from opportunity, it will give you the count of the records. Rather than your SOQL query giving you a table as a result, rather than your SOQL query giving you a list of records as a result, what is it giving to you? It is just giving to you a number as a result. If you just need the count of records, then you can do this. This is kind of easy. Then let's look into the next example. Get the total summarized amount of all the one opportunities. Get the total summarized amount of all the one opportunities. So first, let us try to get all the one opportunities. And then let me also try to fetch the amount as well. Now, what is the requirement? The requirement is to get the total summarized amount, which means they're asking to get the summarized amount, to get the total value when all the amount records are added. So how should I do that? Means you just have to say select sum of amount from opportunity where stage name is equal to closed one. That's it. So this is the sum of amount for the opportunities having stage name as closed one. As simple as that. Select sum of amount. But now remember that as you're getting only a integer, as you're getting not an integer, as you're getting only a decimal as an end result, as you're getting only currency as an end result, you cannot query for one more field here. If you query for one more field, then it will be throwing an error to you. Reason why? Because this SOQL query is not giving you a table as a result, but it is giving you just a value as a result. But when you query for one more field, it will become a table. As it is becoming a table, this syntax cannot be allowed. So when you say count or when you say sum, make sure that you are not querying for any other field. But if you are querying for any other field, then that will go for a toss and that is incorrect. Get the least amount of a non-one opportunity. Okay, non-one opportunity means stage name should be not equal to closed one, and they're telling least amount. For least, I see that there is a function by name minimum. So what I will do, select minimum of amount from opportunity where stage name not equal to closed one. I see that yes, there is a record with amount value as 15,000 having stage name not equal to closed one. Then find the average billing revenue of the accounts. Okay, So select, I know that there is a keyword by name AVG, so I'm making use of AVG, and then annual revenue from account. See, this is the average value. Then get the count of records for which billing city is present. Get the count of records for which billing city is present. Okay, so they're asking for count of records where billing city is present, which means billing city should hold some value, where billing city not equal to null or not equal to blank, anything I can make use of here. So there are 14 records that are having value for billing city. Then get count of unique billing cities used in account. Yes, this is a good example. Get count of unique billing cities. Now they're not asking for the count of records, but they're asking for the records that are having unique billing cities. Okay, then what should we do means, at this point of time you have to understand that this count can also have a parameter here, same like sum, min and average. If you see like how we are specifying something like this, in the same way for count also you can specify a field here. When you say count of, let me take one example, select id comma number of employees from account, and let me also query for billing city. Let me ignore number of employees for this example. I'm saying billing city. If you see here, there are many records for which billing city value is holding a blank value. Now what I will do is, let me query for the records where billing city is present, where billing city not equal to null. Okay, I see that there are around 14 records. Now let me show you something. If I say select count of billing city from account, what will this actually do means, it is showing you that there are 14 records. Why means, what is it actually doing? It is trying to count the values of the records for which billing city is present. That is what it is doing, ignoring the blank value. Let me repeat my statement again. When you say select count of billing city from account, this is actually trying to count the records for which billing city value is present. It is going through each and every record. Okay, is the billing city value present? Okay, mark it as 1. Second record, make it 2. Third record, make it 3. Fourth record is not holding, ignore it. Fifth record is holding, okay, make the count as 4. So when you say select count of billing city from account, it is nothing but select count from account where billing city not equal to null. Both of them are exactly same. But to make it efficient, what we will be doing is select count of billing city from account is what we will be doing. When you say select count of a specific field from a specific object, it will try to count the records for which this field is holding a value. Now, as per this requirement, they are asking, get me the count of unique billing cities, means they are trying to avoid duplicates also. We understood that when I say count and then a field name, we know that blank value will be excluded, but now they're also trying to ask us to exclude duplicate values. Now how can we do that? If you see here, there are multiple records with same value. We have a keyword by name count underscore distinct. When you use count underscore distinct, what will system try to do is, it will try to count underscore distinct. Okay, spelling, I misspelled it. When you say count underscore distinct, it will try to count the values without duplicate. So it will say, okay, tell his 1, this is already present, let me not count it, let me come here, Mountain View, new value, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so I got the result as 12. When you say count of distinct, the system is actually trying to count the distinct values, but when you just say count, system will just try to count the values. But when you say count of distinct, it will count only the unique values and then it will give us the result. So this is how we will be able to achieve the aggregates inside SOQL query. And then let us try to understand the concept of group by. With this we will take a break now. So before I go into group by, what I will do is, I'm quite familiar in Classic, so let me navigate to Classic to show the example. I will just create a report. I think I already have a report, but if not, I will just create a report. New report. Maybe I can choose accounts and I'm clicking on create. I have a table that is already present. This is in the form of table. Let me remove this field. I do not need this. Let me add account site. Okay, I'm clicking on run report. So I just created a small report in my object. That's it. I think. Okay, let me use opportunity. I think the data is very less on the account object. Let me choose opportunity. New reports. Opportunity. Create. Yes, perfect. This looks like a good example. So what am I trying to do here? I just try to run a report on my opportunity object. That's it. I did not do anything much. I just try to run report on my opportunity object. Now what I want to do is, I understand this table is showing me enough results, but I wanted to segregate the results based on the type field or based on the stage field. I want to segregate them or I want to group them. So I will try to choose a summary over here, and then I will say that group them by stage. Now if I click on run report, what is happening? It is telling me that for stage prospecting, there are 3 records. For stage value proposition, there is 1 record. For stage this, there are 2 records. For stage this, there is this. For stage this is like this. Now, in the same way, I want to write a SOQL query that will tell me the count of records that are associated with each stage. Now, I don't want count of records present in the object. I want count of records for each and every stage, like how I am trying to do in a summary report. Then what should I do means, then we have to make ourselves aware of one specific keyword called group by. We have to do this group by because we are trying to summarize based on a specific field. We are trying to group based on a specific field, and so the keyword group by came. Like how we are doing in summary reports, in the same way we can do it in SOQL, and the keyword that we have is group by. Then how can this group by be used? This group by should always be used along with a aggregate function. Aggregate functions are nothing but these functions which we have just covered. You cannot say group by without making use of aggregate functions. Why? If you see here, what is this trying to do? This is trying to group and it is providing you the count. In the same way, for your SOQL also to do something, you should say that group by this and provide me the count, or group by this and provide me the sum, group by this and provide me the average value. You cannot just say group and ignore it. Along with grouping, you should also provide an aggregate function. Now let us take an example to understand this in a better way. Then we have this summary report. Get count of all the opportunities grouped by stage name. Okay, fine. So what I will do, I will say count of ID, because for every record ID will be present. So obviously I will be getting the count. Select count from opportunity. I'm saying group by stage name. Now I'm clicking on execute. If you see here, it is telling me that 4 1 1 3 2 2. Okay, but I do not understand this. It is giving me the count, but what is this for? Then we have to understand that this count is for a corresponding stage name. For a corresponding stage name, there are 4 records. For some other stage name, there is 1 record. But how will I know for which stage name means? Then query for that specific field as well. Now, earlier I told you that if you are making use of aggregate functions, do not specify any other field. Now I am taking my words back. You can add another field, but there is a prerequisite that whatever field you are trying to fetch must be grouped by. Only then the system will prepare a table. And yes, when you prepare a table, you can get it. Now, if you see here, what is the system doing? System is giving me the count of records on the opportunity object that are having stage name as prospecting. System is trying to give me the records for opportunity for which stage name as qualification. There is a 1 record. There is only 1 record with needs analysis. Now I wanted to fetch the amount values, means I can do the same thing. So now I will be knowing that, okay, for all the opportunity records with stage name as prospecting, if I try to summarize the amount values, this is the value that I'm getting. This is the value that I'm getting for negotiation review. This is the value that I'm getting for closed one. Let us take one complex example now. Get count of opportunities that are grouped by stage name and show for which count is at least 2. Now, if you see here, there are some records for which the count is just 1. I do not want them to be coming up. I want this table to show me the records for which the count is at least 2. I want the count to be at least 2. Now, what should I do? I know that there is something called as where class, but unfortunately, where class cannot help you over here. Where clause will not help you. What should I make use of? I should make use of something called as having. Having is the keyword that you can make use of in order to filter the results that were generated after you did some grouping. If you want to apply a filter on the results that were generated after grouping, then having is the keyword that should be made use of. So what will I say? Having count of ID greater than 1. Now this will give me only the records for which the count is at least 2, because I said greater than 1. The count should be at least 2. Let us take one complex example. With this, we will be able to understand what this is about. Get count of opportunities with amount greater than 1000 grouped by stage name and show only for which count is at least 2. So first they are asking us to apply a filter. Okay, get count of opportunities with amount greater than 100. So what I will do, I will say where amount greater than 1000, and if I click on execute, this is giving me. But I just told you that you cannot use where, but now I am making use of where. Then what does it mean? If I'm having where, and if I'm also having, and if I'm also making use of the keyword having, how will the system behave? How is the precedence? What is the process means? Let me tell you. When you use where keyword here, this where keyword will be applied while fetching the results. While fetching the results, this is the keyword that will be applied. And once you get the results, you are trying to summarize them. Once you received the results, you are trying to summarize them. Once you did your summarization, once you did the grouping, then you are applying one more filter. If you want some filter to be applied before grouping, then have where clause. If you want some filter to be applied after grouping, then have having clause. So this is how you will be making use of. There are some good number of trailhead badges. If you work on those trailhead badges, you can get enough hands-on. I understand this is kind of advanced, but if you work on enough examples, if you get some good hands-on, this will be kind of easy for you. So I think let's take a short break. But before we go for a break, I just wanted to go through the questions if you have any, and then we can go for the next topic. So yeah, please send your questions. Okay. How rollup will done by summarized report, as I have mentioned before. Okay, fine. Let me show that. So what you have to do is, if you want to do the summarization, there is this concept of bucketing. I think you can add a formula over here. Let me add this, and in this you can give some name, and you can say that summary fields, and you can choose the amount sum. If you do this, it can show you. Let me click on run report. So there is something called as formula in reports. By making use of this, you will be getting, you can see this. Let me show you what I just did again. When you're trying to add the fields under formulas, you can click on add formula. You have to drag it over here. And when you say add formula, there is an option for you to select which kind of field you want to really make use of, and what kind of rolling up you really want to perform. In this way, you will be able to do the roll up. I will be able to achieve the roll up without having to create a new field on the summary report. And that is what we did in SOQL as well. Kushal Patel, did that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if no questions, then maybe we can take a break and then again come back onto it.
We can have a break for 10 minutes and we can join by 11:40.
Perfect.
These three are the winner for this 21 days of this challenge. Okay. So kind of